Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of WAD Travelogue. I'm Nick, and this is a show where we say just because it's not a great idea to be going out right now doesn't mean that we can't still explore new interesting space. We're just going to do in the form of a community to build WAD to level backs. I didn't even touch my coffee yet. I'm on a new SSRI. That actually um, might have something to do with it. Hey, what's up, Box in the chat? Glad to see ya. Always glad to have company. Um, things are going okay. Sitting here. I got my water, I got my coffee, I'm caffeinated, I'm in my zone. Um yeah, let's get to it. So, I was talking about this a little bit last week that um we did we did Doom 64, we pushed through, we saw all of it. Then we did Beta Labs 2, which I know I should go look up Beta Labs 1 cuz apparently Labs 2 is like a almost not exactly an outtakes, but like a miscellaneous, like a leftovers kind of deal. Um, but today I thought, hey, here's one that I've had in my back pocket for a little while. Everything's in my back pocket. My back pockets are huge. They go all the way down to the cuffs at my ankles. That's that's I don't like that image. You ever see Bag and Saganberry? Let's talk about Snick. Let's talk. Hey, maybe forget the Doom. What if we just talk about? What if we just have a coffee day? I shouldn't drink coffee. If this is how I am right now, I shouldn't drink coffee. Oh no, I don't have the button here. No. I need a button. Hang on. Button. 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 Okay, now go back to the button so I can push the button now that I've added it. Uh-oh. So they make this fancy phone app for Twitch that has the stupid uh like management stuff built into it. But I'll tell you what, the app is not as fancy as the web page that they built. But now I'm over here looking at the web page, and I'll tell you what, it's it's dumb. The web page does not filter to it does not for as dynamic as it's built to look, it does not resize to phone screen. So what good is it? Man, I haven't watched Snick in a minute though. Really though, talking about cargo pants, bag and second berry, slap an adversary. I'm not tan, but a lady had been stuck on my milky body till my neck was like the only place that didn't have a hickey bust on all my capillaries. I'm elsewhere. I am. I like so. Yeah, you know what? Let me this back away. We don't need to. We can take a minute here. I would like to chat. Um, there was a free online gender quiz hosted on GitHub. That's how you know it's the real stuff. Um, and it was kind of a gag, but in one of those ways where like, oh, this is a gag, but at the same way, it is completely spot on. How dare you? Um, how dare you be so accurate in a joke? Um, how dare you sneak the truth into your joke? Which is funny because jokes need a seed of truth to make them relatable and to make them, you know, that's how setups work so that, you feel like you're on a path. Um, yeah. But so it had questions on it like, um, would you describe your body as made of bits? Would you describe your body as made of meat? Um, uh, on a scale of 1 to 5, of 1 being strongly disagree and 5 being strongly agree, you're not trapped in. I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me. Which I believe I put a number 5. Strongly agree. Um, but there was a question on it that was like, would you describe your form as amorphous? and no, wait, it wasn't amorphous. They used a specific phrase, but a phrase that made me think of like a gas cloud. Like, when you're playing Symphony of the Night and you get the mist power up and you go into mist form, it just kind of become a cloud for a minute. And it's just like, okay, I am particulate, I am your skin in 256. Ooh, what bit depth is your is your palette? Ooh, I like that actually. But like when you go into mist form, it's just like, okay, this fog is my body, but like it's not, it doesn't have like set shape or even necessarily like set boundaries. Like theoretically you could cup a piece of it off and be like, no, this is my body and that's my body, hey, give my body back to me, something like that. But also some element of like, it is the concept, like it is not like the fog particulate that is my body, it is the fog mass. So it is just like, like you will lose little bits and maybe you will gain little bits over time, just sort of out of the environment, out of the atmosphere. But it is still that fog. Very my grandfather's fog, my grandfather's Theseus, um, the Friends of Theseus. Uh, they dedicated a bench at my school. No, that one's a joke. That one's a joke. Um, but yeah, but like that is like, honestly, that one got to me because I realized like that is kind of how I feel about my bodyhood. Like or like when I my sense of self is actually not strictly tied to my body. Like the fact that I have a body and this body has whatever traits it has is like a bullet point associated with myself, but it is not a core piece of that self. When I think of the core pieces of myself, it is about really like thoughts and interests and intents and wants and fears and motivations and just like sort of being a cloud of knowledge. Like, yeah, no, the thing, like my consciousness only kind of exists in relation to the things that I pay attention to. Oh, that's getting too deep even for me. Ooh, and I'm the one who brought it up. Boy, I apologize, maybe. Um, but yeah, like the things that I'm interested in, the things that I focus on, the things that I've learned, that is more me than any part of my body is. And so when you have days like this, where the things that you're thinking of, the things you're focusing on, the thoughts that are that you're jumping between, makes me feel very cloud-like. It's like, oh, I can feel that, my selfhood is stretched to all these things. Like there's this little bit living in nostalgia, thinking about Snick. There's a little bit making sure that, that's living in the now and being observant and making sure that the levels are bouncing the way they should in the tech. And then here's this other one thinking about, hey, here's this thing that I learned in college. And yeah. Oh yeah, no, like, and then talking about that, talking about the not just like the difference between like the inner self and the outer self, but sort of like the like definitions of I forget exactly who I was talking about, but somebody who was saying that your mind is anything that stores your knowledge. So there's an element of like, if you have a notebook or even if you have like a daily planner or a schedule or whatever, what you are doing is that is basically like a physical extension of your mind because you are using that to keep track of some information to recall later, which is kind of all your mind does. Like that is, it is like a physical add-on. It is DLC for your mind. We can't jam in RAM, but we can pour our information into books to help us keep it around when we need to recall it, right? Um, But then you get further from that and you talk about selfhood as a matter of our sense of self and other people's sense of ourselves. The there's there's a version of you looking at yourself that you sort of perceive and understand. And then there is a diff and then there is a version of you that another person looks at and like perceives you as, and they are not the same person, but they are both you. Um and that is crazy. And you want to talk about having like paranoid thoughts. That's the one that gets me. It's like, oh no, what how terrible is the version of me that other people have in their mind. I wish I could just, and here's the thing, right? Because like there's an element of that those will be different because the version of you that other people have in their mind is based on what they've seen of you. And different people will see different actions. They'll catch you on different days. Some people only see you on bad days. Like if I gotta go to the ER, I'm having a bad day, but that means everybody in the ER has only seen me on bad days, and that's their version of me. Um, but so like even if you somehow managed to act equally in all situations in regard to all context in such a way that like everyone got a near identical experience of you, then everyone else would have one version of you that would still be different from the version of you that you have because you see your own interiority. You see it's like it's like math tests in middle school, right? You got to show your work, but it's you see all the work that you do to get to your answers. They only see the answers you put down. Um, but sometimes you do gain like new insight and sometimes contextualizing insight of a person by seeing the work to how they got to their answers, right? Yeah, hmm. Listen, that's you don't gotta apologize. My deal is I like to take things to the existential direction. I don't know why. Um, I saw The Matrix at a very formative time in my life, but but yeah, like it is a complex thing, right? And it's oh and so what I was just saying about managing to give everybody else the same impression of you, that's still only theoretical because what people see of you is limited by their state, what people are in a state to see and perceive. Um, if somebody thinks you're a jerk, then, or if somebody expects you to be a jerk, right? Then even if you act the same way you do with everybody else, they're only going to pull out things that make you a jerk, and that is what they are going to build their. It's because that expectation has sort of already started building the framework that they have for you in their mind. And so, especially if they're unaware that that's, kind of how brains and perception and impressions work, like they're going to have this structure and then start filling it in with the pieces that make that picture fit, not even necessarily maybe realizing that they have a picture of you that they are now looking to fill in. Um, So or even just their mood. They may not have had an expectation of you. Well, okay, but also even in a very soft sense, if they are having a bad day and they are kind of mad at everyone and they are expecting they are going to be in a mood where they are expecting everyone to be jerks to them because they're mad, they're already having trouble, whatever. They feel, uh, what's the word? Like, they're kind of feeling indignant. It's just like, man, everybody's jerks. Then you, who they will perceive, is part of everybody. So they have their mood has set the framework, has set the lens through which they will view everybody. So again, like ultimately, you cannot control what other people think of you. There are things you can control what you put out there. See, and this is where it gets into that weird thing, right? She already had cookies. You don't gotta give her more. Oh, that cat, that cat. Um, the cat's getting cookies. That cat always gets cookies. That cat's a pain in the butt. She's cute though, until she gets away with it. Where was I now? I'm thinking about cat cookies. This is the weird. This is where we hit on the sort of weird part of it, where I don't know quite how I feel about these things yet. Um, because we get into that element of, well, if ultimately we have no control over this thing, should we waste effort trying? Right? Um, and there's a lot of people who will make that after lying to you and saying we don't have control over this thing. That's a separate issue. This is a situation where it's like, okay, looking at it, following the logic, knowing how people work, you're not going to be able to control the version of you that lives in other people's heads. It's out of your control. That's just sort of the facts of it. Um, should you bother trying to make a good impression then? Or should you just go ahead and be like, well, if some people are going to think I'm assholes, then I should just then there's nothing stopping me from being an asshole because what was a matter of daycare? And like, no, don't be an asshole. Like, I do think that there is an imperative to still try. If anything, it is a I think that is an excuse to let go of sort of like the shame or the responsibility of your failures, but it is not an excuse to give up the sort of responsibility of trying. But I'm also at a point where I'm not sure what the imperative of that responsibility is. It might be like a moral imperative, it might be a pride imperative. I think for me, and like I said, I'm not sure on this yet. I'm kind of the best of my knowledge right here, which is I'm admitting is flawed. I think I recognize that imperative to still try does come from something which for me is very like subjective to me. It is like, oh, this comes from my personal sense of morality, from my personal sense of like pride or honor or dignity or whatever, which is like, okay, so for me that's true, but it's based on this subjective thing. It's based on this very personal thing that for somebody else might be different. So I can't even say that that's how it works universally. I wish it did, but I also wish more people shared, my sense of morality and responsibility. Um, at some point, you boil it down because I think I'm right and I think I'm better than other people, but I think everybody has a little bit of that, at least in some way. That could be me projecting. Like here's the thing: I know I'm wrong, but I I do have the feeling that I am less wrong than a lot of other people. And, I got a big head. I'm aware of that. And I try to remind myself that that's one of the things I'm most likely wrong about is how right I am, you know? That's I hope that keeps me in check. Sometimes it fails, but I think it does the lion's share. Whew. Okay, now we're really late for the start of this show. Let's play some Doom. How about that's I thank you for indulging me. I feel better now that I've been able to just sort of say some stuff. It's been a while since I've really been able to just say and share and just go off. I was reading. All right, one more thing. One more thing. I was reading um the recently released Warhammer 40K Kill Team Skirmish Light rules, which is basically um 3 pages. It is their quick start rules. They have released them for free. If you want to play the game Kill Team, which is like a format for playing a Warhammer war game in the Warhammer 40K universe, units, rule set, whatever. Um, and it's bad. It's just conceptually, right? If you look at like the flow of the game that they have created, a lot of it makes sense. A lot of it, I think, is actually very universal. So I really like tactics games and tabletop war games and stuff like that. Um, but I am also extremely picky about them. Um, and the thing is, I'm also somebody who likes a very I have been in this position where I have worked with tabletop games and I have worked with digital games. And actually, so very specifically, when I went to school for game design, um, in a specific like uh, human psychological cognitive science. That's what it was. I don't remember what it was called, but I remember a lot of stuff from it. I went for like a cognitive science version of it. So that's kind of psychology that is sort of like literally how your brain works, how senses work, how to like which is cool because if you understand like the mechanics of perception, then you know how to get people's attention, which is really useful. Um but so by going so like I was not like a like RPG weapon strength spreadsheet versus gold cost versus enemy. I was not the guy making that spreadsheet. I was the kind of guy going like, what makes a game feel intuitive, right? How do people work? How do people's brains work? And when we know that, we can build a game around that for the sake of their understanding. Like there is an element of if you know how people work and how people are going to like notice and perceive and assume and the order of operations they're going to do things in naturally, you can look at, okay, we're going to build those into the system, and then we don't even necessarily need to mention it because it's going to happen anyway. And the Warhammer 40K Kill Team Light rules that I was looking at break some of those rules that I learned of like human sensibility based game design, system design, really, on every page. On every page. And it's I'm just I was reading it and I was dying and I'm like free is still too expensive. I am losing. They do a they do a thing. They say, "Hey, we're going to have these units of distance and we're going to refer to them a lot. It's like 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, 5 inch." And instead of having to just write 4 inches every now and then, they're like, we're going to use symbols to represent those distances. Like, all right. They use a square, which has 4 sides, to represent 3 inches. And a triangle, which has 3 sides to represent 1 inch. I'm turning into a Lewis Black bit over this. But see, this is cool because now if I need like a thing to do over a weekend, if I just need something to do for fun for a hobby, I'll just go and rewrite them. I'll just fix this shit. Um, and of course I'm terrible because I wanna I wanna go play. I would like to play it, but there's also an element of like, hey, every unit on the field needs is going to need at least one token next to it in order to keep track of some element of that. And I'm just like, no, like it, like that's the thing, right? Like if there are like that's when it's like, okay, so what you want this to be is a computer game. Um, like I was looking at classic BattleTech rules and kind of the same thing. It's just like, oh, you need to keep track of how of what of at what you need to keep track of what speed, what version of movement this unit did during its activation, because that will modify its 2 hit roll on another unit's activation. And I'm just like, okay, narratively, that makes sense. A running target is harder to hit than a walking target. Totally makes sense. Um, but it doesn't make sense in the aspect of we are standing here at a table, we are looking at things. Warhammer is all right. So it's a tabletop war game. It uses miniatures that are like I don't know inch high for like standard units, and then vehicles where you get into like tissue box size. Um, and yeah, basically it's you have at least 2 players start on opposite sides of a field, and you just sort of use a ruler to move them around. You have stat sheets of just like, okay, well, this tank can move 4 inches on a normal move, but it can move 8 inches if it uses a charge attack. And the charge attack means that you'll be able to move into melee distance of another unit, but you can't do a normal attack. You can't do a normal move as well. You're doing one or the other. And it's like, and it is basically moving the miniatures around the table and then saying, I'm attacking your units, and you roll dice, and health ticks down, and then eventually only one is left. Um, actually, like I said, if you look up Warhammer Kill Team Light rules, that they actually just released the quick start rules for free, and you get a very clear sense of what it's like to play. And it's a lot of minis of soldiers and rulers and dice, and that's it. But it is about positioning. It is about, hey, how do these units match up against each other, because you have the big armored guy, so he's going to shrug off a bunch of hits, but I have a sniper guy, and he's real flimsy, but he can break through the armor with his special ability. And there's a lot going on there. And there's like, so there's Warhammer, and then there's Warhammer 40K, and Warhammer is like elves and magic and whatever, and Warhammer 40K is space marines, but also orcs are still there. It's so, my problem is so many of these games really, in an era like just before computers, or like in the early days of computers, I think they made a lot of sense, because it's like, okay, we're doing this, we need to keep track of stuff, we need to roll stuff, and we want a certain level of complexity. And I think all of the sort of most interesting tabletop games would be served better on a computer, just because the amount of stuff that you need, because like if you're playing around and you have even 10 units on your side of the field, each one of them has their own stat sheet, has their own unique health value, which is going to be dynamic, has their own, unique everything. Not to mention whatever the other player has, or if you're playing, God forbid, a three-player cutthroat game, like the amount of stuff to keep track of, both sort of static to the units, but also dynamic based on the game state. So you have health, who is in cover, who's not, who used a special ability that lasts until their next activation. Like, there's a lot of stuff to keep track of, and I have found that the systems are really good, really interesting, really engaging, really fun. But that system makes for a bad tabletop game because there are the limits to what, like, most people can handle, can remember, can keep track of. And a lot of the best tabletop games is like the only things you need to remember, or like there's very little that you need to remember. Like, remembering stuff is the high, because it's like, you think of something like poker. Like, if you have like Texas poker, and you have their face up cards that everybody knows, you don't have to remember them, they're face up, they're right there. You have the cards in the hand that and nobody else knows them, but you know it, you don't have to remember it, it's right there. And there are some card games that are like, you might see a card and you might know who gets it, and you might have to remember, he took the such and such. So now I can start building in my head that he might have the ABC or the ADF or the whatever. Um, but that's at the high end of it. You can continue to fully grasp and play the main loop of it without remembering. You might lose to somebody who can do, like, advanced things that keep track of that, and keep track of that. But it's it is like sort of advanced, not fundamental. Um, but so and it's funny. This actually kind of goes back to what I was saying about like extending your mind. It is very much that kind of thing. Like, the more, whenever a game has like a token pile to sort of remind you, to be used as reminders of, like, okay, what was this guy in the middle of? What is this dude's ongoing thing? What do I have to remember about these things? So the way I look at it, like, the more tokens your game needs, the more things that are kind of need to be remembered because they're not self-evident by just being there. Um, I kind of give a pass to resources, because if you go back to Monopoly, it's like, okay, you have, like on some level, having the funny money in Monopoly is just a reminder of how much money you have. Um, but it also, the tactile of handing over is very kind of integral about the passing and all of that. So it's like, yes, that is to keep track, but there's something like that at least tracks to the real world where we actually use money. It's actually bartering. It is exchanging things. So, or just like keep them minimal, because again, that is something like, you don't have to, you don't, unless you're playing with the weird free parking rules, which technically aren't canon to that game. Um, it's like, okay, the money that you have is in your pool. The amount you have doesn't always matter, right? It's not something that you're keeping track of. It's, you don't have money all over the board keeping track of little things. Um, but so that's why when they started making Warhammer, like, RTS games, it's just like, oh, okay, now we're talking. Or, like, I think I would really love the Shadowrun games, because I think the Shadowrun games, they're turn-based, they're tactical, they are very much the same thing. They are about move and shoot and melee and cover and throw magic missiles and whatever. And again, like, small number of units so that you can kind of remember each, but the computer's keeping track of all of their stats, of all of their dynamic states and all of that. Um, and it's just like, yeah, no, it is the same system, but the computer is aiding with more parts of it in a way that lets you, if you forget one of the things that the system requires you to remember, then suddenly the system has, like, broken and you don't get to engage with it anymore. But as long as the computer's remembering it, you get to engage with the system. And it'll cover any gaps in your memory for you. Um, so and that's why I've been looking at like a lot of tabletop games because my thought is like, okay, who is doing it right? Who is making a game that is like trying to use a version of the system that feels like fair, feels narratively intuitive, and yet works as a tabletop game because it's very much you need to you do not need to remember things to engage with it. You may need to remember things to be good at it, but to simply engage with it, everything you need to know is out there to be observed. You just need to learn sort of like what to look at, what to do, what to look for. Um, and very few get there. Like in a weird way, it's like everyone sort of like it's like okay, we need to boil back to chess for a minute because even chess is sort of interesting, you know, like chess. There are multiple piece types. There's 6 different pieces. You get multiple of each, and the 6 different pieces are unique. But there's only one thing that's unique about them, which is their movement, right? Um, so like you can kind of bring that over. It's just like, oh, okay, so it's um if each piece had a stat sheet, then you could be like, okay, this one, his movement is this. But instead of being like, oh, he moves 4 inches, it's he moves diagonally, you know? Um, but that is exactly kind of thing, because like pattern of movement is kind of easier to remember than like arbitrary number of of arbitrary measure, right? Because it's just like I can't remember if it's 4 or 5 or 6, but you damn well remember whether it's orthogonal or diagonal. That is, and also chess gets it because like even though there are 6 unique pieces, you get what 16 on the board, and it's just like no, there are 6 different ones, but we're going to have this big army because we're just going to replicate a bunch of them. I am terrible at chess, but conceptually I like it. Um, See, I feel like I would like a version of chess that was half as wide. The part that gets me with chess is there's like too many pieces, and it's like okay, here I'm gonna move this piece, which you can counter in one of these 3 ways, but I have arranged my other pieces such to cover me in any of those 3 ways. I have a way to counter against that, and that's like high level chess. Um, I'm not that good, but I do like moving pieces around. And so of course the other part is like like the thing about chess is if you can move your piece on top of another piece, that piece is defeated and you take the square. Pretty much any other war game is like, hey, we are any other war game is like, no, you need to roll to see if you defeat it. And like there are ways to position yourself and get like the baseline chances high enough that the roll cannot fail. You like no matter what the roll result is, you will win. Um, but man, imagine if like you just didn't you there was a chance that you just didn't defeat pieces in chess. That completely changes like how that works and what's going to be fair about it and also the idea of range attacking. So um theoretically in chess, everyone has perfect damage, no defense, um and no ranges. All combat is melee combat because where a fight happens, the piece remains there at the end of combat. Um, there is no combat without movement in chess. There are no archers in chess. There are no archers in. See, now I'm just gonna make a stupid chess mod later, and it's gonna be you only have half as many pieces. Oh, okay, hang on. What? Okay, hang on. What if? You only get 8 pieces, but you get to pick your mix from. Now you see, now you get into it, because now we're getting into like army building costs. So like, okay, if a pawn costs 1 and a queen costs like 12 or something, right? Because then it's like, okay, you can have a maximum of like 12 build points. You can have 1 queen, or you could have 12 pawns. And see, this is where you get into that spreadsheet stuff that I was never good at. It's just like, okay, is that actually fair? Because oftentimes having more pieces is often more fair. Um, okay, so chess is also a game where you take turns activating, and the smaller force actually gets an equal number of moves, even though their force is smaller. Everybody has 1 HP. HP doesn't necessarily, but losing HP also means you lose offensive power, because you. Whew, this is getting into a different conversation now. Now I'm just okay, but the idea of chess, but some pieces are ranged. I do kind of like the idea of like, what if you only had 8 pieces in chess, but you got to like pick which one. Okay, so you could do it like you have like an infantry slot, and maybe there were like 3 different types of infantry that you could pick. So it's like pawns, pawn B, and pawn C, pawns, peasants, and serfs. Um, and then you had like your like mid-range pieces, so like your knights and your bishops, and you got 2 slots, but you could pick from like 4 different ones. And then you have your power piece, which is like your king piece, which is the most a power piece, which would be like your queen, but and then you can still have like your king and queen. Okay, so but then just bringing it down to a smaller, you bring it down to a smaller unit cap. So we only have 8 instead of 16. So that way the battle's a bit smaller. It's a bit less. It's a bit less to go on the side. You can't plan. You can't. You don't have enough pieces that your one move can have 3 counters, and then you can set up counters for all 3 counters. Um, so that would sort of reduce the play space. Okay, and then add to it some sort of range attack, and add to it. Man, range attack would be so OP. Well, no, if both sides have it, then that just really changes the dynamic. And then oh, you don't want to kill the king, you want to capture the king. So you cannot use range to win the game. That would be interesting. Do ranged pieces also get. And then rolling. The idea of rolling too. I kind of like the idea that like maybe see, that'd be kind of interesting, because like a queen already has significant power because they have the most powerful movement on the board. So does that mean in terms of like attack power, they would probably have just like middling attack power, right? Because if you have high movement and high attack, it is just the god piece. But if you have like high movement and mid attack, that's kind of like having mid movement and high attack, right? I'm thinking maybe something just like number of dice you roll, or like maybe you have like a level. It's like, rank 1, rank 2, and rank 3 pieces, and then you take that number and add a die roll to it or something. If it was a d6, maybe it's like, all right, so if for a pawn to kill a queen, you probably want to have to roll like a 4 or a 5. So or a 5 or a 6. So if a queen is a 6 and a pawn is a 1, because then 1 and 5 is 6, that would match it and beat it. Defender wins ties. So if a pawn is a 1 and a queen is a 5, queen is a 4. What did I say before? I don't know. One less than that. So that way, the pawn would win on a 5, not tie it. See, and this is, I'm sitting here because I have fun just thinking about this stuff, but this is the part where you just start like writing some of these rule downs, and then you find someone who is willing to try this nonsense out with you. That's actually the next step, is we just like, all right, stop thinking about it. Let's try it. Let's see what works. Because then, of course, in actual play, things will occur that you didn't think of, and then you go like, oh, okay, I didn't think about that. All right, okay, how do we account for that? Do we have to account for that? Is that just interesting? Is that fun? You know, and you get into, because nobody can consider everything. Sometimes you gotta just let shit hit the fan and then see how it plays out, and then go, all right, and now we know for next time. Nothing teaches you better than trial and failure, or trial and success. Nothing teaches you better than trial. No amount of thinking it does better than trial. All right, let's now I'm gonna have to think about chess afterwards. Well, let's play some Doom. All right, so here's what I got today. I picked out this WAD called Jenesis. And Jenesis is... Are we hearing any of this? Hang on, is something else broken? Oh, something else is broken. Interesting. Hi. That would also probably be why I didn't hear the intro. But that might mean y'all heard the intro. How about this? I will say this. I'm thinking next Tuesday I'm gonna do some sort of tabletop thing for Extra Life, because I get a reward if we raise $80 before the end of August. So it's a good start before Extra Life proper in November. So maybe we will revisit this chess with archers idea on Tuesday, because it's either that or I'm gonna play like Super Dungeon Explorer by myself, which is sad. I don't know. I enjoy that game very much, so it might be sad to watch. But that's enough about board games for today. Let's play Doom. This is Jenesis. This is a Mega WAD. I don't know much about it. It is by Jimmy, who... That feels familiar. I feel like we looked at another WAD from this author before, but... Let's see what Jimmy had to say for maps in 2011. If this is your first episode, wow, what a wild one to start on. This is a show about A, ranting, but B, exploration and not challenge. So we always play on the easiest, and don't sweat it if we need to drop into cheat modes in order to get past something rather than being stuck on it for an hour. Ooh, Blinky. Alright, good. Ooh. Alright, nice window right in the beginning. We get to see a bit. Oh, there's pickups out there. Oh, there's monsters out there. Good, we'll be out there. Teleporter in to explain how we got here. I like this already. Oh, weird. It's like a... It's kind of like a teleporter outhouse. Oh, there we go. Ooh, Berserker Pack right up there. Can I just... Okay, well... Maybe if I get on top of this by running along this? No, but I'd have to be able to get up there somehow. Can I do it this way? No, that's too high. Hi, boys. I won't worry about you yet. So this is kind of cool. The zones are separated, but with an understanding of like you don't need to have a fully closed off wall. You can just sort of like, hey, here's a height difference that you can't get over. So us 3D creatures who live in 3D space look at that and go like, oh yeah, no, there's a gap there, but it's like it doesn't make it traversable. I also think that would be too narrow to squeeze through if we did figure out how to get up on that ledge. Yeah, I'm thinking that I'm thinking the same thing. Something will probably lower those crates, but not one of the crates. Not the crates themselves. Not those crates near it. Get the big hit scanners down. Get the little hit scanners down, and I don't have a shotgun yet. Okay. I really like this already, actually. Like, just already playing with like the interior, the exterior. So like this is what I'm talking about in maps, right? Like this room right here. First of all, it's outdoors, and it's very nice outdoors, actually. Oh, you can just barely see it. Oh, he did what I always worry about doing. So if you look right here at the edge of this building, ow. In order to make this building shorter, the ceiling comes down to it. But when we stand all the... Oh, hello. I found it. Oh. But the ceiling comes down in order to make the building shorter. But then the low ceiling is actually getting in front of the taller building behind it. So you get this like disappearing roof effect. Because technically there is block there, but it is block that just renders through to the skybox. But you are looking at the low outdoor ceiling blocking the taller building behind it. Ooh. I mean, so to be fair, it took me a minute to even realize that was going to be there. We might be able to see some of it. No? Not. Oh. I didn't know they could melee. Wait, were you getting me through the bar? They can melee me through bars. Oh! I never knew melee went through walls like that. Oh, that's curious. But yeah, that's the thing that I know can happen, and so I always find that limits me, but this guy just did it and it looks good. Okay. I probably could have stepped on one of those. Hey, alright, you want to talk now? Let's talk. Let's talk through the bars. Let's have this discussion. Right, but I was saying this room is great because this room is actually a hub room, because there's the one room we came out of, and right now there's only one room that we can go into, but there's clearly two other paths to go, and I assume we will only open these one at a time, but this is exactly what you want to look for. It's so it gives this feeling of this like big like sprawling complex, but it also doesn't it doesn't do the thing I was talking about. Was it last week? It was probably last week. Or I was talking about if you just have an open branch on a level, then for me at least, that is like, okay, I gotta remember that's there because I gotta remember to explore it, and if I forget about it, then I will reach the end of whatever I'm doing and feel like a dead end because I've forgotten this thing. Here, this is not open branches. This is the suggestion of branches, but they are not open, so I already know, like, okay, I don't need to remember these. Like, maybe I'll remember these later, but also, again, good use of sight lines. We have an amazing view here of, like, okay, we know what this, like, narratively, this makes sense. This is a helipad, but we also see very clearly the blue key up there. We see more doors, so it's just like, all right. So, oh, actually, I wonder if we'll come through the other way, because this is the same building, right? So we might work through the building and come out there. I love this little decoration corner. It's just like, yeah, no, it's kind of a separate room. It's also just sort of a pouring toxin room. Should I recognize this song by now? Okay, that door was locked. very kind of them to put him, who's very dangerous to us, out of reach, and we don't... Out of reach, but also these dudes here that we need to deal with first, basically. Because that is just sort of out of reach of our weapons. That we're going to have to do this dance and maybe waste some ammo to deal with them. But having these big pillars as a way to be like, yeah, no, you get to use these to be safe. Okay, so those are going to raise up. That's how we're going to get over. Do we do this? Yes. Alright, good. Everything's really straightforward so far. Everything's, like, really straightforward. But, like, is also doing things the clear way, you know what I mean? Save here. Jenesis does what Nintendo doesn't. I don't know how to spell. Okay. So we grab that. Now I can come back up. Straight across. And now we can stand in here without fear of taking damage. Oh, okay. We're going to go on this side first. Is there anything else in here I want? Should I check these? Have I checked the map? This is saying maybe this last one? There we go. Aha! Good secrets room. What are you gonna do? You're gonna drop the middle? And a nice present. Oh, okay! Oh my god. Oh. That's good though. That's good though. I'm having trouble even being mad about that. Alright. Push this one up faster, but this is what I love to see in a map. It is this thing of like it has the feeling of being large and sprawling, and in some sense it is, but it's also not but it's not doing so in a sort of fatiguing way. Okay. Good secret. Good secret. Challenge and a thing and it made me set off my own damage. It's very good. Very good. Like this is what I think. Everything in here is like clearly well considered in design. Like this is somebody who there's very intentional and smart design here, right? Oh, and then this is where it drains into. It just drains into a big grate. Oh, that's fantastic. Hey, how hurt am I? Ooh, shiny. I'm 90 hurt. That's not bad. Here's yellow. Yeah, this guy didn't make it further than this, but maybe I'll have better luck. This. There we go. Okay, so it's not even we're gonna like branch back out to these. We're gonna return to these points. What are we gonna do with a yellow key? I saw a red door. I love that all the toxin is just draining into a grate. It's not actually a processing facility. It's just a sort of... I'm gonna guess this area was not open before, because otherwise they would have already been dead, because we've been through here. This is like everything I want in a map. Or everything that I would sort of... This is following every like good rule of thumb I can think of. It's interesting. It's placing monsters in an interesting way that makes use of them together to create interesting interesting scenarios, interesting combat scenarios. It is creating this like sprawling place where there's actually only one linear element at a time. It is refreshing refreshing repeated areas. Okay, now we're going through here. It is doing great work with like eye lines and showing you areas ahead of time. The design elements I'm very down with so far. Just like I like it's a pretty simple base, but no, it looks good. It's got the signs. It's using the color for the borders very well. It's using again like it. Here we go. This is what I wanted to look at. Can we get it again? Yeah, we get it again right there. You see how? I wish I could zoom in. But the space over the roof is still skybox cutting off the other roof. Does this make you a switch? No. Okay, good. Right, we've got our red key. Okay, and again, like we are seeing old scenic rooms and locations, so we have a very good sense of where we are, and a sense of progress because like we were there, now we're here. Wait. What? So are you telling me this is just a juke? You're telling me the blue key was a juke all along? It's just like, yeah, you're gonna want to get out there to get that. You can't get that. Okay. If you've never read the book Catch-22, I'm pretty sure this is a Catch-22. Because you need to hit the switch to get the blue key, but you need the blue key to hit the switch. Catch-22. Very, very simple rules. Oh. What? Fake door? Oh, here we go. Right. Leave back here. Yeah, now I have the red key. Maybe the blue door is just gonna be where we leave from. Whoa, you're new. They staffed up while I was gone. Whoa! I did not even recognize him on the screen. I just did not see. And they're up there. I probably don't want to fall into these toxin holes. I had to guess. Falling into toxin would be bad. Just. Although. Oh no, those are tiny stairs out. Okay, at least there's a ways out. See, like each room is kind of a interesting combat scenario. Not every room is like a big puzzle. Not every room has a big sense of progression. Some rooms are just like there, kind of to fill space, kind of to be a thing to go through, but there might be an element of like you need enough rooms to feel full. Sometimes you need enough rooms to be like, well, a place like this would have a control room and the that and the something else. Hey, now we have stuff on the other side. So there is an element of like, because you know, brevity, right? Pacing. I'm always talking about how that is such a vital thing to consider. I think there is like, if you have a gimmick, get in, do your gimmick, get out. You don't need to overstay your welcome. Overstaying your welcome is one of the worst things you could do. But I think there is such a thing as being brief enough to feel brief, you know? It's just like, oh, you just really did one thing and then we're over with it. Like there's a like it might be a matter of, oh, okay. Now we do this. What did that do? Are you new? You're new. Like there might be like a narrative like length that makes sense. It's just like, oh, for what you have set up here, there would be this many rooms, this side of thing, this whatever. Like there's still a longer pacing is short is longer. Hang on. Words. Being too slowly paced is worse than being too quickly paced, but there is a correct pacing. It's not about just being as short as possible. But always sort of err on the side of being too short than being too long. Listen, I'll be honest, I could stop right here, and I feel like that first map is... Man, I gotta do something about my mouse. My mouse cord, specifically. Excuse me. I feel like we could stop here, and that level was like a... I don't know if it was a masterclass, but it was just like, yes, here is... If you want to learn how to build a level, like, study this level. This is gonna tell you, like... That is such a good example of so many of the rules. It does so much right. Or maybe that is like it was a great example of like a fairly gimmickless level. Like that, like I always feel like that is sort of that's like the best example of like a baseline level. Like if every level was just that, they would be kind of they would end up being kind of samey and bland. But if every level was that plus you were playing with some specific gimmick, that's basically what you want to do. It's like have that, but it's like, okay, now this level is that, but we're playing with portals. This level is that sort of basic structure, but we're playing with elevators and height differences and verticality and whatever, and like alright, well, step on the gunk. You gotta step on the gunk. Is this okay, good, this is the door. I was worried because that was locked and everything else was just poison. So, okay, let's talk about, like, we got some time left. Let's talk about linearity and like sprawling. and kind of... Oh, look at that! Pour it down to the mouth. Custom. Nice. Gross, but nice. Nice touch. Nice adaptation of existing resources. And back up, and back up. Oh, it's on a slime pedestal. Oh. Yep. Oh, you want to do this? Ouch. Ouch. Good little arenas here, too. And again, doing the smart thing about like, hey, we're going to put the thing that you want in the center of the room to lure you into the center of the room. And you control when this fight is going to start, but you were forced to fight the start to progress the level. You are forced to start the fight? Fight the start. Fight the end. Save tonight. Fight the break of dawn. That's... Okay, anyway. And that's the thing, right? Like, this is very much like the room, the rocket room from the last one, which also that one was hidden in a secret, so that's a nice way of like, here's like a full room you can hide in a secret, to make a really nice secret. But hey, what did we get? We got yellow, so now we just continue. Right. Now we just continue. Nope, that was skeleton falling down. I heard it. I heard skeleton fall down. Good. Love that noise. One of my favorite noises is skeleton fall down. Oh, hello. Ooh, again, nice recontextualization of space. We're not so this is kind of what I'm talking about, right? Is what I'm trying to talk about, if my mind would be linear. My mind's not linear. Knowledge is not linear. I think when people complain about linear levels, what they're actually complaining about is there is a lack of revisiting spaces, right? Like, I've always felt that, like, open world games aren't actually super interesting. Like, the idea of the world just being completely open is like, cool, it's open. It's not like making a bigger world. Like, it's always like, okay, the stuff that's in it and showing me something interesting in it, filling it with stuff that maybe makes it feel alive. But when people talk about, oh, linear shooters, I think what they're complaining about is room A leads to room B, leads to room C, leads to room D, leads to room E, and it's just like, when you're done with the next thing, you leave it behind. But again, I think this WAD so far is giving an excellent sense of like, here's how you get around, here's how you avoid that. Like, in terms of how you progress, yeah, these levels are exactly linear. Whichever room you enter, there is exactly one room to go to. But at the end of those rooms, you kind of return to a place, and then you take a different way out of it. One room with several ways out of it can be technically linear if there's only one new way for you to go at a time. But doesn't feel linear because you're returning to places and then either those places have changed or you are taking new directions out of them. It's that idea of like, when people say linear, they don't mean I want to be able to pick different branches. I think when people complain about a linear level, they complain about, we leave everything behind and everything feels sort of disposable in this way. Okay, that room is a problem because there's folks everywhere with eyes on me. And I think they have more cover than I do. I would like skeletons to fall down first. And I'm out of rockets. Great. Is it bearing down? Did I actually get him? That'd be nice. What is this gonna... First of all, what is this gonna do? Second of all, what is this gonna do? I heard something happen. Oh, wow, hello. See, and this is exactly what I mean, because like, this makes this room way more interesting. Like, this one room now is more interesting than 3 new rooms that were just connecting it in a row, you know? How are we feeling? 72, okay. Yeah, it's very... Like, I don't want to say this is... The design is plain, but it is very, like... It's not dour, it's not overly modern. It's also not, like, the little pieces of, like, broken out pillars here, right? It's not a super deep detail, but it is just enough detail, and we've had a lot of open rooms. I think that's the thing. And lots of windows, because like even before we had all of this open, it was like, okay, here's like a corridor that we're going around, but this is open air, this is open air. You stand here and looking straight through that window, that is now a very long line of sight that we have. Were we over here before? This is where we came in. I do very much like this. Like the sort of the, not just a visual style, but like the architectural style going on here. Okay, well now we're down here. We might have opened that before. My man's over here is still stuck. I'm good with that. Oh, now we get to explore these other upper ones. You're locked. Good. I have bullets? I think I have bullets. Okay, what is that going to do? Ow. Ooh! Hey, was that red key visible there before? Yeah, thanks for hanging out, Bach. I'm probably not gonna play much more than this, so you're not gonna miss much. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for bearing with like a half hour of just rambling at the start. That was fun for me. I hope it was good for you. Yeah, I really like these. I thought this was going to be a WAD that we like looked at once and then we're just like, oh, that's neat. But honestly, okay, and now that drops. So we're here, so we see it. I actually really like this. It's not that we see the thing through a window. It's that we're like, hey, that is the main part of the room. We have worked our way into the sort of auxiliary part of this room, and we're watching the thing. I love when the thing happens right next to you, but you are separated from it, and you got to work your way back towards it. Yeah, this is a good map too. Like, I definitely prefer just, generally speaking, I prefer tech and space bases and stuff over the wood and stone kind of, wood and stone is always very, like medieval to me. With the ironwork on it, like I'm not a hexen guy. I'm not a swords and sorcery kind of guy. I am space marines and chain guns. Ow. Ow, what? Do I have to hit a different button to drop it? Aha! Jeez, the threefer. Reefer Madness. Oh, nice. Okay, and then this one's just... Okay, so you don't hit those directly, but they are telling you, hey, you don't need to worry about this until you get the red skull. So I'm going to guess this drops that. Yep. But this switch... Bonus buddies! It's not that the switch required a red key. It's not that that pathway, those pillars themselves required a red key. It is that, hey, this pathway, this switch, you require the red key to get to it, you know? It's marking those pillars even though you don't use them directly. That's... It did make me go try the pillars because they were marked directly, but very much like letting you know ahead of time, hey, this direction is going to be... Last time I heard a noise. Like letting you know... Oh, uh-oh. 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 Letting you know, hey, this direction is going to be locked off until you get the red key first is a nice way of just like... Call it like... It's like telling you that extra step ahead. It's like, I'm telling you a higher level truth. It's like when somebody says, hey, how do I do A? And it's just like, well, early bird gets the worm. And it's like, yes, I'm telling you the answer, but I'm telling you a higher level version of it and not the direct level version of it. It's... I take it back. I now think that's kind of pretentious to do it that way. Okay. That's gonna... Oh, hello! I thought that was gonna let us out. Nope. Good. Good. Oh! Oh, and that's where the bonus boys were, too! Learning new things about the same rooms is more interesting than new rooms. I think that's maybe the problem of quote-unquote linearity. It's like, yeah, new rooms are fine, but I'd rather learn more about existing rooms, see changes to existing rooms. And then at some point, if you want a big sprawling map, then you are doing that, but just on a much like wider basis. It's just like, yeah, we're gonna have these rooms, we're gonna have these good rooms that we're gonna recontextualize, that we're gonna explore, that we're gonna change over time, that are gonna be dynamic. We're just gonna have more of them. Okay, they came out of here. Yeah, no, yeah. What do I have now? What did I do all that for? What the last thing I got was the blue key, I guess? Oh, hello. Whoa, cool hallway. And then just teleport or exit. Great, love it. I love it. I love it very much, actually. The Oasis Fistling. All right, let's do one more map. Let's do one more map. God, I don't know what these songs are, but they... Like, I recognize that I should recognize them. I don't even know what that means. But also now I'm just kind of waiting for one of these to just be playing the MIDI version of the Sailor Moon theme. Can I get the triple? I can get the triple. Alright, right there. Blue key. Start here. Hey, look. Blue key, blue door. Love it. Not hiding it, don't gotta explore it, tell me right away what my goal is. And I was like, good, I'll get started on that. Oh. Hey, what's this door? Oh, real door. I don't like the okay. This is purely me. This is purely because of like the original Doom expectation that's been said, but I don't like using the start fake door as a regular door texture. I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. Boy, there's a lot going on. Oh! Okay. That's not a shoot-through window. Right. This is a cool complex so far. It's a complex so far. So yeah, this is one that feels non-linear in that exhausting way to me, because I have explored one branch and I've passed up some number of other open branches, and I've already forgotten any of what they were, and now I'm just like, okay, I know I'm forgetting something. I just feel bad now. Let's go this way. Is that a... what was that? Health bonus. Great. Okay. What? Why? No. Bad. Rude. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, well, what about this one then? Is this just a different way up here? Oh, it is. Okay. Well, now I can fall this way. Good. All right. All right. I want chain gun. I want chain gunny. Listen, I know I have chain gunny, but I want more. All right, let's try this way. Have we tried this way? Right, big boys. That's why I was hesitating to go out. All right, big boys, big boys. Guess I'm out of rockets. Oh! The card is down now. Did that happen? Is that what that switch I hit upstairs did? Okay, never would have... Don't know how I would have connected that, but alright, alright, alright. Red Skull is out there. What? Who did that? Boomst. You took a little too long. I was already gone. Arrow. There's a big arrow that just says, hey, blue key. Hey, don't miss it. Hey, 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 hey. Okay. No good reason they missed me. What?
I didn't have a chance. I need help putting the box up on a shelf.
Okay.
I pulled it down this morning, but that was the easy part.
Can't hear a word he's saying. Chain gun is happening. Okay. That was noisy. All right. Anything about this one? I like the repetition of this specific like gap clearing pillar shape. It's like, okay, we already know what's going to go on. We're going to go across that way. All right, good. Once we figure out how to get up there and also raise it, I'm going to guess that switch is going to... No. That switch is what we're going to get across to hit. We're going to come through that way. Yeah. And that opens that. All right. See, this is what I mean by aha. Oh, and that also leads over here. Wild. Nice. That's a good connection. Yeah, because this one little pillar was different, and it set out, and I was like, I can climb on that, can't I? See, this right here. This is a good example of how you can be, you can do something like elaborate, but also be brief about it. Because if you look at this, we came in here, we had our combat, we wrap around to a second room and a height, which it could have been a staircase in the same room, but he made a different room, and I need to learn to do that more to make, to sort of like, technically that you could say this is all part of one room, because it's like, okay, and then you get up over there, switch that lifts these to come across to hit that to leave out that door, and it's just like, all right, progression, multiple steps, but to not something widespread. Everything is here in the room. It's not like any of these buttons are. This is kind of a kind of like a liminal space. We're progressing through onto something bigger, I imagine. You know, sometimes the bigger thing is just getting the key to finally open that door, to open that locked door that's been locked since the beginning of the level. But yeah, that's right. We do have a red skull key door ahead of us. So that's kind of the big thing we're working towards right now. I hate these skeletons. Anytime you could put a skeleton, please, for me, put a Hell Knight, because I can deal with them easily, and I just hate them less. They're less of a pain. What? Oh, weird. Okay. It flooded it? Is that so we can get back out here for some reason? Is that just a fun thing we just did? What? I mean, it's fine. Good rockets. Oh, hey! I remember that room. Oh my god, was it specifically to sort of let us know where we were? Was that actually trying to telegraph, hey, if your memory works, you know exactly what's coming, because you're interacting with this thing, it's drawing your eye, and it's like, hey, remember that room with the river in it? Remember the room next to it that you couldn't get to? Hey, you see this door lined up with that room? And it's just like, yeah, no, this is a fight room. This is a fight room that it specifically showed us we would not be able to handle earlier. That was a special treat saved for us. They showed it to us. They served it on a plate. Gosh, that's good. Yeah, and I don't know if that did anything like functionally. If that is there just to like be a cute reminder, that's an amazing decision. Yep, 2 more. I can handle 2. Especially when they're in a group together, I can handle 2. Okay. More rocket. More rocket. More shotgun? No, we're good. Let's get out of here. Ooh, nice. Translucent pillar. Just walk through it. Just gonna have a shower. Just gonna have a little detox. You just appeared. You just appeared. How am I feeling? Okay, good. That didn't... Right, I'd gotten Soul Sphere or whatever. Oh, this is where the water comes from. Nice. Now we're also here. I like this inexplicable frame. It's very... somewhere between 2001 A Space Odyssey Monolith and also Minecraft Nether Portal. Nether. It's just, it's here. Like, it's tech, so it's definitely man-made. It's got the lights. Also, it's just kind of here for no explicable reason. The torch is next to it. It's just like, ah. And that's our red, so we should be able to now... want that. Oh, can I now not get over there? Oh. I see, I don't feel like running all the way back around to just explore that side. Okay, so we got the regular key, but it opens the skull door. That's good enough. Elevator? Elevator? Okay. Do not like the skelly voice. They hurt me. Oh, so what is it? Oh, so okay, so up here is overlooking what we were looking at when we started. And you too. Alright, let's get out of here. This is a really well designed, really smart WAD so far. Oh, I can't take that noise. Oh, that's better. All right, let's talk about this for a minute. So my original thought was that we would look at this and then kind of just let it go. But then I spent half of the stream time just rambling about war games and perceptions of self, which I think makes it a good stream day overall. I want to check out more of this next time. This is definitely leaning more on so that's the thing, right? I was saying you can make a very you can keep this structure and you can follow all these rules. And again, this is the thing that I like about Doom is the engine and the creation tools are hit a very good balance of simple and powerful and you know it is 3D, you can do a lot, where even if structurally all the maps are very similar, very same in the structure of like, here's your hub room, you're going to keep returning to it, we're going to go into something new, you can put a different coat of paint and different shapes on that structure kind of forever. That's kind of why this is the game we play on this show, because you can kind of just do that forever, and still make interesting things and still make new things, and you can make that same. You can follow all of those set of rules and still make things that feel unique without even. These haven't really had gimmicks yet. Like there's not a clearly like, oh, this is a switch rally stage, or oh, this is a getting taller stage, or anything like that. So far, this is just solid maps, and they've all had pretty different vibes so far. And only 3 that we've looked at today, but I'm really into all of them so far, and I do want to see more. So I think maybe we're going to pick this back up next week and look at a couple more, make up for the rambling time today. But that being said, today is over. Apparently, I got to go put a thing on a shelf. All right. And I'll do it. Thank you very much, everybody, for hanging out with me today. I had a good time. I hope you did too. I see another coffee too. Good. It's cold by now. If you're watching in the archives, hello to you too. Thank you for checking all this out. Thank you for joining me live if you did. See, I always wonder if I should put more on the screen here to deal with, to be interactive for the live people, but this is, again, this was always a show I made for the archive. So it's like, oh, what can I do that would be good for the archive too? Not sure. I can think about that also on the weekends when I'm redesigning chess. I'm gonna make chess 3. Huff my farts, Serlin. Thank you very much. Come back on. So the only big news I'll put now is I have signed up for Extra Life, which means donation pages are now open, so I can start putting that in the episode descriptions. That would be good. Note to self. And there's definitely going to be something special about that in November. Plans on that coming as soon as I make them and can solidify them. But I might do something special next week because apparently August they focus on board game stuff and I like board game stuff. So yeah, we'll see if that happens. I keep thinking it's going to happen. Here's the thing, I can just do it. I have the ability, I have the wherewithal. The part that holds me up is thinking if I don't build it up right, it'll kind of just be a swing and a miss. It'll be a real swing. But also, is that a problem to be a swing and a miss? It's, is the idea of not hyping it enough reason enough to not do it? Not really, because I could just do it again. Here's the thing, I could just do it again. That's the thing I gotta remember. I could just do it again. All right, that's enough yapping for me. Take care, everybody. Until next time I see you, get vaccinated, get boosted. It's the best weapon we have. It works. It's safe. It's right. Until you can, stay home as much as possible, avoiding contact. If there's no contact, then there can be no spread. There can be no exposure. If you do have to go out, wear a mask. Your mask protects others. Their mask protects you. Wash your hands. That's just good hygiene. Raise the voices of the oppressed. Learn to read power dynamics, so that way you can tell the difference between who is oppressed and who is claiming to be oppressed. Remember that neutrality doesn't exist. It just allows the oppressor to continue what they're doing. And the rule behind all of these rules is take care of one another. I'll see you next time.